Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Parasha Pointers on Parashat Debarim. This week's message, we actually have a dedication. It's dedicated by Albert Esses in honor of his wife, Grace. They should see a lot of bracha in their family, hatzlacha with all their children, be'ezat Hashem, and only good things. The message this week is based on the first pasuk, Elah Devarim, in Parashat Devarim. At the end of the first pasuk, it lists, by the way, all the places, quote unquote, or a few of the places that Moshe Rabbeinu accompanied the Jewish people on their travels in the desert. And they mentioned a bunch of places, on Ever HaYarden, a place called Mulsuv, a place called Paran, all these different places. And the last one of the stops is called Di Zahav. And the question that the commentators ask is, where do we see any of these places in the travels? We just don't see them. And they answer very simply, they don't exist really, according to most opinions. They're hints to the Musar Moshe Rabbeinu was giving them. For example, Di Zahav, Di comes from a lashon of dye, enough, and Zahav is gold. They had a lot of gold, and they used it for the golden calf. So Moshe Rabbeinu was exhorting the people at the end of his life and giving them musar of all the things that they did wrong. But instead of doing it straight in their face, we're going to do it through the hints of these various places. So Di Zahav is one of the places I want to focus on. There's a Gemara in Masechet Berachot Daf Lamed Bet, one of my most favorite Gemarot, unbelievable Gemara, and it talks all about the prayers that Moshe Rabbeinu and the different defenses that Moshe Rabbeinu gave that saved Klal Yisrael from this sin of the golden calf. And over there, the rabbis say that Di Zahav is not only talking about the Musar Moshe gave. It was a message he was giving Hashem. Di Zahav. He said, Hashem, you know why the people sinned with the golden calf? It's because of you. You gave them so much gold, Zahav, till they said die enough, that's why they had that gold, and that's why they made the golden calf. So really, why are you blaming them? Pretty powerful Gemara, where Moshe Rabbeinu is basically defending the Jewish people by saying, listen, you put them into a situation that was, they couldn't, it was an intolerable situation. They could not have been successful because you put them into the position that caused them to fail. Of course, people are we're all held accountable for our actions, and they were punished. But in order to stop them from being destroyed and to give a little bit of a defense, it worked. You gave them all that gold. Look what happened. So I want to talk a little bit first about material possessions and the fact that all the gold that they had caused them to sin. We have to think about that with our own children. If we give our kids the material possessions and things, it could be devastating for them. Forget about, there's many aspects that could be bad. But there's one aspect in particular, if they just get everything they want without working, where's their work ethic going to come from? If he has everything he needs, he's going to lose the ability to work hard in life. There's a rabbi that I spoke to in Israel, and I said to him, there's so much Torah out there, it's amazing. He said, yeah, there's a lot of Torah and it is amazing. But you should know that there's no more toil. They press a button, they learn. They listen to a shur, they got it. They don't understand a word, they go, you used to have to work hard, and that changed the person much more. So there may be a lot of Torah in quantity, but to get the quality that really changes a person, you have to have that yigiyah, that effort, and that makes a person great. And we have to be very careful not to give our children too many things so easily. It's not only about the material possessions. It's just that, here, take it. Sneakers, items, whatever you want. That's not normal. And that's not good for them. Because then they're not going to work for what they have. Where's their work ethic going to come from? And where's their drive going to come if they get everything for free? That's one aspect of how it's very important to realize that, by the way, if they don't get motivated for physical things, all the more so they're not going to be motivated for spiritual things. Why would they be motivated for Torah? They're just used to getting everything, so just give it to me. It doesn't work that way. You got to work. The Gemara over there in Berachot takes it even further, and it gives a very, very striking mashal. Rabbi Hiya bar Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yohanan, He said that the fact that Hashem gave all the gold is comparable to a father who has a son. And he bathes his child, and he anoints him with oil, and he feeds him, and he gives him to drink, and he hangs a purse of money around his neck, and he puts him right outside a place of ill repute. You could figure out what that means. What could the son do to avoid sinning? He has the money, he's all beautifully dressed and all clean, and now you put him in front of this place. The father set him up. That's another mashal that Rabbi Bar Abba gives to all the gold that Hashem gave the Jewish people. So of course we're responsible for our actions. But the circumstances that a person is put into plays a major role of the level of his guilt, of course. So the defense is, it blunted some of the guilt because it justified, you put him in a position. What do you want from his life? So when we look at our children, we got to ask ourselves, are we putting them in a position that's fair for their growth? I mean, we want them to be spiritually growing. We want them to be upstanding and respectful people. But are we protecting them from negative influences, inappropriate images, unethical ideas that might be coming from the media or from technology? We want to see, why are you not learning? But are we being careful of what they're exposed to? We have to get this message because we have to do our part. We can't be there all the time, and we got to build up our children, of course. But we have to realize that if we put them in a position for failure, we are partly to blame. It's our job as parents to protect them to the best of our ability. That's our job. And as always, the best defense is a good offense. You got to look at the ways to set your children up for success. Put them in an environment of holiness. Put them in a place of happiness. Put them in places where they're going to hear good messages. Put them in the places that they're not going to be exposed to these things as much as we can. Be offensive and get them into the right place. So we shouldn't ever have to have the defense of V'di Zahav. What do you want from them? It's not their fault. Because at the end of the day, the result is the same result. We want them to be Sadiqim. And Be'ezat Hashem, if we take this message to heart and realize that we have to set them up for success and be aware that if we give them too much things, too much materialism, too much money, and then they fall, we have some of the blame. If we give them technology and items that are not good for them, we're also to blame. We got to be careful of how we handle our children. Each family has to know what's right for their child. But there are certain values that are just, there's nothing to talk about. And Be'ezat Hashem, when we have that in mind and we protect our children and we understand what's the right and what's wrong, they're going to grow up and give us a lot of nahat. Be'ezat Hashem. We should all see the Yeshuot and the salvation come very shortly for everyone. Amen.